I thought I was going for some. I thought I was going for some not true there, but it actually is true. But that is enough about True. He is currently still in the army. Instead, we're going to be starting off this best of 3 quarterfinals on Def Aura LE. We're here at the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. The red Terran player. He is coming down from South Korea, representing, I remember this, Shopify Rebellion. We have the Ghost King himself, the Puppy King, if you will. He is ByuN.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing KyZ Gaming, KZG. It is Solar.
I'm just so curious how this is going to play out. I feel like my eyes are going to gravitate more towards ByuN. I mean, partially because I am just looking for new openings to do, but also because he is someone who's got a lot of variety in him. He was...
Yeah?
You can make a case that he was the player who taught Maru how to proxy.
Yeah, I mean, ByuN does have a lot of variety. I do kind of pen him in, though, like, when it comes to the players who are a little bit samey, like they kind of go for like a certain thing.
Oh, yeah, you will never see ByuN play mech, for example.
Yeah, I would say for ByuN, especially in TvP, he like has a very specific play style, and it can be taken advantage of, I feel. But in TvZ, I 100% agree. He is a lot more versatile in terms of how he can play, and we'll see what he does here. Already very interesting, and it's coming back to me. He does this a lot, where he does not open up with a Reaper, and he forgoes scouting.
It's coming back to me as well, Lade, but I think less fondly than how you remember it.
It's a series. Was it against Dark? I can't remember.
It was against Rogue.
Rogue, yeah.
I specifically remember.
Yeah, he was getting all in, and he just throughout the series, like sporadically, he would either open Reaper or skip it, and
He was on match point at that time. All he needed to do, not even send a Reaper out, just SCV. Send some kind of scout to the other side of the map.
Yeah.
And he would have known that the Rogue was going for, I believe it was a Roach Rush.
Yeah, it was. Yep. It was a Roach all in.
But instead, he said, you know what? I'm going to not SCV scout. I'm going to skip out into Reaper. I'm going to build the Hellions.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, because he was punished for it earlier in the series as well. Like, again, it wasn't the first time that he was punished for not scouting. Oh god, and it's just one of those, I don't know if I want to say it's a weakness, but it's one of his things that it's like a play style or something. I don't know.
It's an eccentricity.
I would call it a weakness.
It's a difference.
Oh boy. So again, like in a longer like best of 5 series, like you can definitely take advantage of ByuN, knowing that he does this. But this is a best of 3. We're not in the semis quite yet, so we'll see how Solar is able to contend, able to compare against someone like ByuN, as ByuN is opening up with a very fast 1-1-1.
Yeah, not going for the more economic 3cc before starport. ByuN is all about doing damage early and doing a lot of it. I do also like that he's going for Cloaked Banshees as opposed to Liberators, because again, he skipped out on the Reaper. He didn't really scout Solar too much at the start of the game. You never know if Roach is coming your way. And if Roach is coming your way, you do not want Liberators.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, ByuN, he still hasn't scouted anything in the natural or in the main base. So for all he knows, it could be Roaches. It looks like the Hellions, they almost slip into the natural, but he doesn't commit. He doesn't want to get surrounded by the Lings. Meanwhile, he actually continued to pump out a couple more Hellions, and the Banshees are coming out. It's an interesting wall.
Huh. So normally you see 2 supply depots and then 1 CC. I know on the other maps you do need 3 supply depots to fully wall off a natural, but Def Aura is the one exception in the current map pool.
That it is. That it is. Meanwhile, we do see ByuN finally. He's pushing out with his Banshees. One over here on the left-hand side of the map. I believe he has another. There it is. Just now popping out. He does already have Cloak, so he can dive in, but there are spores ready.
Indeed, there are. Even without his Banshee getting revealed a little bit earlier on for a Scouting Ling, Solar was already building into spores. It's a nice, safe thing you could do as a Zerg player.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of value that comes with that. Right now, ByuN is hoping to maybe either pull his queens away in one direction and then dive in with his Banshees, or, you know, he pulls the queens away with the Banshees and then dives in with his Hellions.
But not both.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it could be both.
He's trying to hit something, but in the end, he does get pushed away, so instead he's content with just clearing a little bit of creep. Ooh, dives in, dives out.
But or he's a couple of queens to prepare. And link count is getting progressively higher. The drone count just completely untouched so far from ByuN. This is a little bit worrisome for him. He wanted to get some kind of equalizing damage done with his opening. He delayed the third base for quite a while. And it was all in the hopes that he'd be able to get a lot of drone damage.
Yeah, to be fair, the potential is still there. Like, he never overcommitted with anything, so he hasn't lost anything. If you look at the units lost, he hasn't lost any Hellions, he hasn't lost any Banshees, so he can still deal some damage. But likewise, as you can see in units lost, he hasn't dealt any damage either. So, yeah, both players right now are just kind of pushing each other away.
Yeah, pulling a little bit of a Vivid, ByuN is. I will say one thing he's doing really well, though, is he is making sure that Solar's creep does not go too overboard. I mean, look how shallow it is, especially here by the fourth base, and even at the third base location. ByuN's army is going to have a much easier time microing off a creep, and being able to hit these juicy hatcheries of Solar.
Definitely. And then finally, the Banshees, ByuN do dive in. It looks like he will trade one Banshee for one Queen. I don't know if that's the best trade so far. Ooh, he does also find the Banelings that we're looking to try and go for a run by. Yeah,
maybe not the best trade with the Banshee, but a definitely very good trade against the Banelings over here.
Yeah, and this is terrifying. Again, like, stemming the creep spread is has value in and of itself, right? Like, that helps so much when it comes to this push, as you were saying. And now ByuN, he's got his Widow Mines, he's got 1/1 as well, stim.
That's pretty scary. Solar has a lot of opportunity here to get some real good surrounds on top of the bio, and potentially, hopefully, get some friendly fire from those mines, but he needs to set up his positions, which, again, it's a little bit harder to do when you don't quite have the creep spread. Decent splits coming out from ByuN, but he lost the vast majority of his bio army.
That was beautifully done.
Hold from Solar.
Yeah, that was beautifully done by Solar. He traded everything so well. His Banelings found their connections with the Marines, and ByuN is forced back. And now Solar, he is free to expand, take his fourth base. Finally, more importantly, spread his creep.
Yeah, honestly, a little bit surprising that ByuN went for the attack in this location. Well, he knew there was more creep spread, and he knew that the brace wasn't quite as fresh. But I guess it also comes down a little bit to not wanting to commit too hard to going up ramp.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, once again, the army does get surrounded. ByuN is trying to push over on the left-hand side, but there's Ling Bane ready and waiting. Ooh, Solar does pull back, and I agree 100%. I feel like ByuN may have had a little bit more success if he had pushed here on the left-hand side a little bit more initially, because there still is barely any creep spread here. So he could have used that to his advantage, but instead he opted to go for the right-hand side, had a harder time, and so far Solar has been able to defend quite well, but you know, the army supplies are still quite close.
Yeah, ByuN is back, and he says, time for round, what is this, 3? 4? Question mark?
Yeah.
3?
3.5.
Time for round 3. I have the much bigger army for the moment, and I do have some mines, but good Baneling connections are, you just cannot put the numbers how valuable that is. Well, I guess you kind of can.
Yeah, ByuN just hasn't had the best time splitting right now. The Widow Mines, you know, they've been decent, but for the most part, they have been falling. He doesn't have like a critical mass of mines. It looks like Solar's going in.
But he's going right onto the mines. How good could the connections be? Not too good for ByuN, but very nice from Solar. Still has quite a lot of army left over here.
Yeah, and now Solar's just going across the map. We'll see if this is a mistake or not. ByuN does take a Baneling connection, but he's just sending his drop into the main base of Solar.
Oh, puppy! Very nice burrows. Does take out the majority of the Banelings that were over here. ByuN still trying to push, which isn't going too well for him. That's a lot of Spore Crawlers.
Yo, is this Solar or is this live VIP? Because that's a lot of stack defense in the main. I love it. It really is deterring ByuN for committing to a Doom drop. Now he does turn around. He's trying to slip on in, but oh god.
Oh, and he sneaks just about around. Will take a little bit of damage. Oh, these Medivacs! No! That was a Medivac with so many Marines on them. Thankfully, the Lings are sort of queuing up in a single file here and getting mowed down by the Marines, but finally they're starting to get us around. ByuN cannot stay here for much longer. He is trying to push into this 5th base location. 5th or 6th base. One or the other.
Yeah.
And he gets a cancel on it, but is that going to be enough?
I mean, it's nicely done, but Solar, he's already expanded over to the right-hand side, and he's looking to take another base here, the Rich Vespine gas base at that. ByuN needs to do more, especially because he was struggling to establish his 4th base. It is finally up and running. It is now a planetary, so he now has that economy, those resources available to him, and he's trying to push on forward, but now there are lurkers.
And it makes it that much harder, especially when you're going for more of a mine Marine medevac base composition. About too many Marauders it takes out.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm a little bit worried for ByuN because again he's still stuck on the same composition. He needs Liberators at least to help deal with the lurkers. Meanwhile, Solar has been able to tech up a little bit freely. His economy for the most part has been untouched, and now there's no mines with this. Never mind, there's one.
One mine and a singular tank, and Solar does not want to tangle with that unless he's able to get the literal most perfect surround. Not the best mine connection here for ByuN, but a very good positioning on his Marauders. A lot of those Banelings connect with Marauders instead of Marines.
Oh god,
So
and
ByuN keeps the majority of his army alive.
that he does, but you know what? The lurkers are finally coming into play here. Oh my god, the Widowmine is on siege. ByuN, he's not ready.
Doesn't quite get a burrow, and in fact, that Widowmine will go down without shooting its shot. Some pretty good splits here in the eastern position.
Oh, that Banshee.
But again, I feel like ByuN is just losing a little bit more than Solar each time, and Solar is benefiting just way more.
Exactly. Well, the problem is that this entire time Solar has been expanding and he hasn't been stopped. Like every single time he's been able to keep his bases alive, keep his economy in check, and ByuN just hasn't been able to break him. That could change though, because again, there's very minimal crease spread here on the heads. Oh my god, there's so many lurkers. Ay, ay, ay.
That is literally a dream if you have Liberators out, but yeah, ByuN doesn't. He actually goes for Ghosts instead of Liberators.
Interesting decision. I mean, either one can work, and I would say that Solar, he has a lot of lurkers, but all of them are back at home. He only has 3 offensively. Regardless, he does force a lift off. He does connect his Banelings with the mineral line,
and he gets even more worker kills. That's definitely what you want to see as a Zerg player, but you don't want to see a complete deflection like this. ByuN, it seems like he didn't lose too much army here. Sure, he lost a decent number of workers, but that can definitely be remade as a Terran player, especially if you throw down the mules that you need to.
What's scary is that Solar finally decided to hotkey his lurkers that were at home defending, and now they're going across the map. This is a scary amount of lurkers. He's looking to try and sandwich the army, or at least multi-prong. Oh god.
Yeah, and the multi-prong will pay off massively. There is detection from that missile turret. And ByuN rides down from the mountain, keeps that planetary fortress alive. Lost quite a number of SCVs in the meantime, but that being able to keep that planetary alive is absolutely massive. He can remake those SCVs. Also keeps the orbital command to the north alive, so ByuN trading very efficiently over here.
He does have the bases alive, but he doesn't have the economy to sustain this. Like, he needs to do something to keep Solar at home, or just trade incredibly efficiently to survive in this game. Otherwise, this may be the final fight.
He's very much all in into this final push, and Solar's already coming in with a brilliant surround. A lot of those Banelings do connect with the tank, but most importantly, the tanks are blinding clouded. They cannot get their shots out, and this is just about going to be the end for ByuN's game number 1.
Yeah, exactly. Everything gets picked up. Everything gets cleaned up. Meanwhile, there are a couple of tanks here at the third base, but there's just so much momentum with Solar. Solar barely even dipping in supply. He's still almost maxed out at 200. Meanwhile, ByuN, he's just struggling to maintain 100 supply here. GG gets called.
Solar gonna be taking game number 1 and just proving that it takes more than just a ghost to get him spooked.
Exactly. Sometimes you just need to be liberated.
From your fear? Question mark?
From your life, mate. I mean, ByuN, oh god, he was playing it well, but we never saw him really get into a mineral line. Like, he was trying to like attack in multiple places at once, but we didn't really see any drops. We saw like one big Doom drop, I guess, and we saw one Widowmine drop, if you recall, over in the top right hand side of the map, but that was kind of it. Like, ByuN wasn't really looking to harass his opponent. He was trying to win like head-on engagements, and I feel like, I don't know if that's the best way to approach a player like Solar.
It definitely is not, in my opinion anyway.
I mean, we saw it play out, right? We saw, like, Solar, he was ready to go toe-to-toe with the armies. You could argue that maybe you could have, like, slipped a couple of drops here and there into the main, into some of the fringe bases. But at the same time, I feel like Solar knew where his weaknesses were, and that's why we saw so many spores in his main, right? Like, he knew that he was vulnerable here.
Oh, definitely. Which might have been a little bit of a deterrent later on in the game for ByuN to go for drops, but I don't know, you normally expect him to, you know, send out a couple in the early mid game to harass his opponent. But that is enough of a game number 1. We are now in game number 2 of the best of 3 quarterfinals, and here we have it in the bottom left hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left hand corner. The red Terran player coming down to Pills of Gold. LE holding up the rest of the current map pool. Also LE, he is the only Terran player, well, the only big name Terran player in the bracket left. So if you are looking for more Terran representation here, send this man every single bit of your energy. Representing Shopify Rebellion, as he is the biggest rebel in StarCraft 2 history, he is ByuN.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Pillars of Gold, LE going for a pool first and checking for all the proxy locations. We have the South Korean Zerg player. He is blue. He is representing KZ Gaming, KZG. It is Solar.
I honestly don't think I can think of a team better for ByuN. At least when it comes to the name, anyway. Shopify Rebellion. Tobias. That is cool. Well,
yeah.
It's probably TLO who came out with the name.
maybe, I'm sure he probably sent it through a committee of people to make sure it was approved. But yeah, I love Shopify Rebellion. I get a lot of ex-Team Expert and ex-Team Acer vibes from it, especially since, of course, Scarlet and ByuN are a part of it. So yeah, it is really cool to see Shopify invest even further into StarCraft esports. And we'll see if it ends there, if they keep going. And I'm sure part of that is why I know I know a lot of that is why Scarlet, for example, she's been playing in the ESL Americas now for the past month or so.
As some motivation here, especially since they're going to be playing in the China Team League. But before that happens, ByuN is going to have to survive these links coming his way. Again, skipping on the Reaper. God damn it.
Yeah, I should have mentioned it when Solo was going for the pool first, and ByuN skipped the Reaper again. That's a massive delay on the natural base. Ay.
Dios mío. This is the time where he's actually not swapping the add-on slate. He's going straight for a couple of Marines, which makes me wonder, what is he getting beyond that? He's building a tech lab, okay, on that factory, and then getting a star. It's not 2-on-1. Okay.
I was about to say, I'm surprised there was a starport no armory. I was thinking maybe he might commit to like some kind of push, but no, he's still playing out his 1-1-1. And what we just saw is why at the beginning of the series I said that like this is a bit of a weakness for ByuN, because again, like he does this more often than not, and if your opponent knows you well enough, they can abuse it, just like we just saw. It's just like this massive delay on the natural.
And I feel like we're gonna see again.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I know anything from Solar.
Exactly. ByuN now is finally working his way down the ramp. Interesting that ByuN is prioritizing a medevac.
Yeah, wait a minute. I do not remember the name of this build, but I remember this build.
There it is. There's the armory.
Got it from a euthermal guide. Yeah, the armory is down.
Oh boy, so ByuN is going to be looking to go across the map as soon as possible with his Marines, with his Hellions, and soon to be Hellbats. Now, Solar, he had a really good beginning to the game, but if he's too greedy, he can be punished for it, right? Like, he hasn't gone in for an additional scout. He isn't really aware of the opening of ByuN, and if he drones up too much, he could take a lot of losses. Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. And we're getting to the stage where ByuN acting a little bit cheeky here. There are really two ways you can play this out. You can play it out straight up, right? And drop the Marines in the front lines and have them support your Hellbats as they morph in. Or you can go straight for the main and go for a very, very early multi-prong, which ByuN is looking to do!
That he is. He goes straight into the main base. At the same time, the Hellions are going to look to try and hit his third base. Obviously, they can morph into Hellbats and be so much more tankier. Here they come. Oh, the
and
Queens.
They morph right on top of the Queens. I feel like one of them at least should go down. Not if Transfuse has anything to say about that.
Exactly. Somehow, someway, the Queen does barely manage to stay alive. The Queens do turn around with the Lynx. Spore even comes in to help deter the medevac. Meanwhile, these Banelings are not going to finish up.
One of them, maybe. It's not being attacked. There it is. The medevac will go down, so this army doesn't have any sustainability whatsoever. ByuN is trying to do whatever damage he can. Okay, wasting a couple of, well, I say wasting a couple of Banelings, but that's still some pretty big damage on the side of ByuN that Soul is getting.
Oh yeah, everything gets cleaned up. At the same time, 4 SCVs did go down. A couple of Lings did slip past the wall, because the wall did not exist, into the mineral line. And what is there to defend? There's going to be 4 Hellbats. Well, that may just be enough. And Solar does not pull the trigger. Instead, he's joining up.
Yeah, and the economic position for ByuN has just gone from bad to abysmal right now.
That it has, as we see the third base only now starting after the attack failed. Again, it is so late. I wouldn't be surprised if Solar any moment now. There it is. The fourth is on the way, because why not? ByuN, the hell do you do from here? He's throwing down more Raxes, but he's gonna and engineering bays.
I'll tell you what you do from here. You push and you pray and you micro. And honestly, if you're ByuN, I can believe that it works out.
True. Like, he definitely has a chance here. If anyone can do it, ByuN can, especially when micro is involved. He's just going to be, a little bit more active here, and that's exactly what he's doing. He pumped out a couple of Banshees, and now he's looking to try and delay or deny this fourth base.
And he won't quite be able to get it, but he loses up a little bit. Comes in with a drop leader on. No! Loses one of the Banshees. I don't think he researched Cloak here, which would explain that.
Yeah, he did not research Cloak. Again, like, I don't think he could really afford it. So he's just doing what he can with his Banshees, and he was able to kill a Queen, but he's not going to find much else here. Almost loses the second Banshee. The Lings are looking to surround and finally deal with those Hellbats. Hellbats are going to trade pretty efficiently, though, again, hugging the wall quite nicely.
Absolutely. Especially when the Lings going in a single file.
Yeah, it's ideal. So ByuN will be able to get back home with his Hellbats, and he is getting ready for the next stage of the game. His production is getting underway already. 5 Raxes being set up. He's looking to get his third base up and running. 1-1 on the way. Actually, I think a little bit faster than the 1-1 of Solar.
Yeah, just a little bit. should be about even for the majority of the fight that goes on, but we'll see how much damage, how many shots ByuN can really get in before the upgrades equalize. He is focusing so much on this push. He's not exactly all in. He's still continuing to build as many SUVs as he can, but yeah, he needs his push to do something.
Yeah.
At least kill a base.
Yeah, because the scary thing is that if he stays at home, then Solar is going to spread all of his creep. He's going to get into his lurkers again, and we're going to see a repeat of game number 1. Like, ByuN cannot allow that to happen. That is why he's going out with whatever he has, just to do whatever he can. And maybe he can at least deny this base. Like, it's quite vulnerable. There we go.
Indeed it is. And so are a couple of these queens. Not quite enough of them though. I feel like that ByuN isn't overstaying his welcome here.
Yeah.
He is relying quite a bit on the element of surprise when he hits these. Every time he is in the C-Shop location, that's just giving Solar a lot more time to regroup his own army and get his defenses in order. Which is a lot easier for him to do than for ByuN to attack in.
Exactly.
Again, Solar has a very good nice economy.
Yeah, and yo, ByuN, he goes back in. Ooh, almost gets a kill. Does force the denial once again on the 5th base.
I'm gonna prevent it from going up for a little while longer. I say a little while longer because it was just a little while, about a second.
Yeah, and honestly, this is so good for ByuN. This is what ByuN needs to do. Small wins here and there where he doesn't overcommit and he doesn't lose anything, right? Like he's keeping Solar's army busy and he's going in again. He should be able to get it if he sims. Go for it, puppy.
Oh, but he doesn't want to. You know, Solar's around, and Solar's going straight for the army! ByuN! You need to pick up!
Oh god, he does pick up just in time, but he will lose his tanks, but the rest of his reinforcements are here.
That they are, and Solar is super far off a creep. And if you were against any other Terran player, you might want to take your chance there, but against ByuN, no way.
Yeah.
You do not attack into him with Banelings unless you have creep spread everywhere.
Exactly.
And speed.
So Solar, he does.
And the buffer.
Solar does back off. He is morphing in more Banelings though, which again is a little bit worse than the Banshee does go down. ByuN is actually committing to this attack. Meanwhile, his reinforcements are getting picked off.
Massive win here for Solar. And he can just continue on and go all the way, forcing ByuN to send all of his bio army back. But the tanks are super exposed!
Oh, no!
Too indecisive right now, and he is paying a massive price for it. He will... Okay, I was gonna say he'll trade very efficiently against those Banelings, but Solar doesn't commit.
Solar doesn't commit because he doesn't need to. He killed all the tanks. He knows he has nothing to worry about against just a pure Marine army. Instead, he commits to the counterattack. Some damage is done. The SimCity was good enough to keep that mineral line alive, but that was disastrous for ByuN, exposing his tanks like that. Ay.
He needs little wins here and there, but that was just a massive L in this game.
Finally, it looks like he's going to be trying to go for a couple of drops. The problem is that enough time has passed where Hive is done. We got the Hive upgrades on the way. We got Lurkers on the way. Vipers, 3 Vipers in production. Solar is getting like the perfect like endgame army right now, and ByuN, he's still struggling to. He's still on 3 bases. His 4th is what? On the way?
It's not even halfway done, yeah.
Oh no.
Solar is sending rockets to Mars, and ByuN is just discovering gunpowder.
Are you getting some Civ flashbacks right now? Is that what's happening? Oh god. We should play Civ again one day. We should make that happen.
Kerwin's been trying to get that because we peer pressured him into paying $80 for the complete edition.
We're not playing Civ 6, all right? We're not.
Intellectual. Metaculture.
God damn it.
I do prefer 5. I think 6 is better for multiplayer, but I do prefer 5 in general.
Oh boy. All right. ByuN, he's got some drops to the north. He's got a drop to the south. Gonna try and, again, like, at least buy time, right? At least keep Solar busy while he himself works on his upgrades, while he himself works on 3-3. And we'll see if he can do so. Yeah, he's going in, clearing some creep. Pulls the entire army.
Yeah, and honestly, he is maxed out. Well, both players are, to be fair, but to ByuN's credit, this is a Terran player who should have been dead by now.
Yeah, again, Solar has been hyper focused on defending and teching. That has been his win condition so far, and that's exactly what he's trying to pull off. ByuN, though, he's trading as best as he can.
Yeah, taking a couple of connections here, but keeps more than half of that Marine force alive, and you can continue to just bully this 6-base location. Oh, if he lifted.
Oh, God.
Fortunately, he just looked away at the split second. That was wrong.
Exactly. Now Solar's going to try and counterattack. Again, the SimCity is on point. The tanks are nicely spread. We got some CCs to help kind of buffer and keep things a little bit awkward for Solar. So ByuN, defensively, he's looking as good as he can. Is it going to be enough, though, against the Vipers of Solar?
That is definitely going to be the question. One good Blinding Cloud or a couple good yoinks, and that is the majority of ByuN's defenses taken right out of the game. I will say that while it's taking a while for him to get his bases up. Oh, name dropping.
Oh, God, not the best time as Solar does push on forward. He completely destroys the defenses of ByuN. The majority of the tanks and Mizutars did go down. ByuN, though, in the end, was able to hold on, but sustained a lot of losses. And as we can see, Solar can afford to remax. ByuN just needs a little bit more time. He is pushing out into the map, looking to try and get on top of these lurkers. And you know what? There's no Banelings ready for this. Oh boy, but the lurkers are enough to keep those Banelings alive. ByuN, he just can't get on top of them, cannot push any further, and he is forced back. Now, he is attempting to remax with not just his regular bio tank, but also Liberators are on the way, Ghosts are on the way as well. So he is refining his army quite well. Again, though, he just needs time to max out.
Yeah, but I'm not convinced Solar's gonna give him that time. Look at how many Banelings he's morphing in, and he's going right for it, like.
Ooh, but the SimCity, it's on point. There's a small choke point to get into the main base, and ooh, does snipe one of the Vipers.
Nicely done over here. The lurker's still chipping away right now. ByuN has to be absolutely careful.
Oh my God. And I don't know if you saw that. All three Vipers were sniped.
My screen was actually frozen. I was hoping nobody would pick up on that. I was like, oh, yeah, here's some casting words. I will say that ByuN has had a little bit of trouble expanding so far, but side effect of that, he's been able to make sure he has the best SimCity possible, make sure that he just does not, back.
Oh, welcome back. But yeah,
takes the most efficient holds that he possibly can.
That he does as the Lings are getting on top of the tanks. Who even needs Vipers, not Solar, as he just moves his way through all of the defenses here of ByuN.
Yeah, he has a lot of ghosts, he has a lot of tanks, not enough of a buffer for him whatsoever, though. And I mean, I guess that's still a bit of a testament to the SimCity. He keeps a lot of the tanks and the ghosts alive. Meanwhile, the rest of the bio trying to go for a massive base trade. ByuN is not favored whatsoever here, but honestly, I believe.
I mean, this was the best choice for him. He was able to take out 2 hatcheries, but the Banelings, they connect. And ByuN, the splits were not there. The defenses at home weren't there either. ByuN, he's down to 3 bases. He can't push into these lurkers. Oh, it looks like he will get a couple of snipes. So again, he's trading as best he can, but I don't know if it's enough.
Oh, one more hit! Oh. Keeps the ghost alive. That was anxiety inducing.
Hi. Oh boy.
Can't even land at orbital. Oh lord. That's what he needs more than anything right now, to have that scan energy available to him. Well, that and also to be able to mine.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like, the defenses here, at least on the 3rd base, are pretty solid. It's going to be really difficult for Solar to break him. I think he can, but he's just really unwilling to trade that inefficiently.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. Not after that base trade, not after fights he took. And the fact that he just spent his entire bank. Solar needs to stay alive for a little while longer before he gets back to the point where he can start trading super inefficiently. He's got a lot of higher supply, but the army supplies are surprisingly even. Not a lot of Banelings here. So many Lings in the front line will get chipped away or evaporated by the Marines. And the Lurker's Light. Not enough of a buffer, just the right scan. And Solar had a chance there, but just a little too inefficient.
Yeah, things are starting to even out a little bit. Like Solar keeps like bashing his head into a brick wall, and Solar's head is breaking. The brick wall is standing strong. Oh god! And this is the way that ByuN can get back into this. He just needs to defend as best as he can, and so far he has been able to trade just efficiently enough. Again, every now and then he gets snipes off on the Vipers, on the Lurkers, and Solar gets pushed back. And if ByuN is able to establish this base, this 5th base, this is going to be huge.
These snipes like muy delicioso. Who even needs a nuke is all I'm saying.
Oh god, I would love to see him research one just for the lols, you know, just to strike fear into the heart of Solar. Oh god.
Hold on, going back to his main base real quick. ByuN's? That's 2 armories.
That is 2 armories.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know why that jumped out to me as much as it did.
I
guess maybe because you don't expect ByuN to go mech, I guess.
Yeah,
and he's not going mech, so.
He isn't. Meanwhile, the Ling Bane Lurker is going on in. The tanks were left exposed once again.
But the Ghost trait decently well. Gets a Banelings. This Nidus, meanwhile, completely wiped out by the drop. Wow.
Oh god, meanwhile there is a Nidus over on the right hand side of the map. Blinding Clouds are finally being used once again. The tank gets taken out, the 5th gets taken out.
Yeah, ByuN has finally got to the point where he's starting to mine out his essential bases. And he's spreading himself pretty thin here. As he continues to expand, Solar absolutely making use of that.
Yeah, Solar is struggling to break this, but he's still breaking it regardless. You know, the Lings are getting on top of the Ghosts, getting on top of the tanks. The tanks do get taken out once again. And a part of this is also Solar's inability or just unwillingness to like tech into like Corruptors and Broodlords. Like he's got a Spire. He threw it down like 5 minutes ago, but he just hasn't teched up into it.
That he has not. A little bit worried that he may be tunnel visioning a little here.
He definitely is. You could argue that he can afford to, but like for how long is that really possible?
Oh, yeah, he can afford to tunnel vision for a little bit longer. I thought you meant he can afford to get his Greater Spire, which yeah, in theory he could, but not if he keeps remaxing and spending his bank on Ling Bane. Another decent trade for ByuN. But finally, it seems like Solar is starting to crack this. He has lost every single Ghost, and that was really the moneymaker for ByuN. GG is called. Solar will be taking the series 2-0. GG. Well played. Coming out from both of our players, honestly. That last game in particular, I feel like was a game where you can definitely tell Solar was ahead right from the start and just made sure to keep his lead. But ByuN made it a lot closer than it really should have been.
Yeah, it happened in game 1 and also in game 2 where Solar never sustained any economic losses. He lost hatcheries, but he never lost any like mass amount of drones. So like after a certain point, he never had to re-drone. He could focus all of his larva on his army production. His economy was just left completely safe at home. And even though we saw him just keep like sending wave after wave of like Ling Bane Lurker just into the Terran wall, eventually it did fall. Eventually it did break. It took a while. It definitely took some time.
Word, right? But eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Solar undeterred by Ghosts. I was gonna say has gotten over his fears a little bit, his phobias, but then again, we did see a nuke get thrown down, so. True. Well, at least he won't have to worry about that for the rest of this tournament.
Exactly. Meanwhile, we did just get updated. Stats did 2-0 Armani, and we have our first semifinals ready for us.